Welcome to the Red Leaf Retrocast, episode 16.
Woohoo!
It is just the two of us today. It's me and Colin.
Yeah, I'm back,
How you doing,
baby.
Colin?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing better. I celebrated my 30th birthday on Friday, so
Oh, yeah.
Saturday was a rough day, to say the least.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I made good friends with the toilet. We went many places. Many hours were spent together, just me and him, face to face.
Mouth to mouth?
I wasn't that deep. I wasn't that deep in him. There was even a point where the trash can became my new best friend next to the bed.
Oh, man.
And my cat kept me very much company all day, worrying the hell out of me.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Yeah, I went to a place Joe from the Anime Cast recommended to me in Rhode Island, and I'm glad he did. It had a lot of interesting drinks, and I shouldn't have tried them all.
Oh, man.
In and out of consciousness yesterday, I was watching the Olympics on PlayStation View.
Nice.
I'm using the 7-day trial to basically just do that.
Nice.
It's I'm liking PlayStation View. It's a very good alternative to cable, that's for sure.
I guess so. I haven't tried it myself yet, but maybe.
Yeah, it's 30 to 40 to 60, whatever package you want, but it basically comes with all the channels you need.
Cool.
Well, at least through the American channels. I'm not sure what Canadian channels you would get. I imagine TSN and CBC would be one of them, but anyways.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been a frustrating month with the job search, but we don't need to get into that.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of video games,
Nice.
namely Monster Hunter World.
Yeah, I still have to get that, but I really want to, so we can play together online.
Whew. Man, I burned myself out in it pretty hard.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I got like 40 plus hours into it in like the first week. And then I just said, I gotta put this down. I gotta play some games for the podcast.
Uh-huh.
And I'm glad I did, because these are very interesting ones. It was your topic today, Colin. What was your topic?
Top-down action
Your
games.
theme. Yeah, I mean, it seems like a very generic kind of theme, but the games that we ended up picking are all very unique to each other.
Yeah,
I
for
felt.
sure.
And it was actually kind of hard to find specifically top-down action.
Yeah.
There was a lot of top-down, say, RPGs,
Uh-huh.
but not specifically towards the action part of it.
Yeah, they're kind of few and far in between, at least as far as retro stuff is concerned.
I was very surprised how hard it was to find the specific set of games.
Yeah.
Without just diving deep into the shithole piles
Yeah.
that inevitably do exist.
Or
That just shows that many retro games are much in that kind of 2D side-scrolling effect.
Yeah, it really is, because of stuff like Mario and Pitfall and whatever else, and Sonic the Hedgehog.
Right. But then you have things like Zelda, and it almost seems like every game tries to copy it.
Yeah, it really does.
In one way or another. So, but we got some good topics to discuss here.
Yeah,
We got the Microsoft Game Pass.
Yeah,
Google's making a console. Nintendo Labo was announced through.
I didn't get to talk about my life.
Well, I mean, that's just later. What's going on with your life?
Well, I've been playing a bunch of games. I've gotten further into Nier Automata. I finished the B route.
Oh, the boring one.
Yep, I hear after that the game really opens up.
Which is really weird, because you've already put in like 25 to 30 hours in the game easily.
Yep, for sure.
And then you just get to this other run, and it just explodes into this world, and you're like, did the game just start?
Yeah, really. And I also finished Wolfenstein: The New Order.
Ah.
Yeah, I really liked that one.
What'd you think of it?
It was really cool. That final boss fight was a bit frustrating, but it was really fun.
Well, that is the key word there, boss fight, something the sequel did not have.
Yeah, as you've said before. And last night I started up a run of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, I'm so proud.
Oh, yeah. So far, it's really cool.
Yeah, you got the complete edition, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like Rise of the Tomb Raider meets Nier Automata.
Where does the Nier Automata play in?
You know, the whole post-apocalyptic world with machines running rampant.
Okay. So general setting. I got you. I feel you.
Yeah. Of course, it's a lot less wasteland-ish, and I haven't gotten to any, like, city ruins yet, assuming there are any, but...
Oh, you'll get there. You'll see some pretty cool places.
I imagine so.
Yeah, the land layout in Horizon Zero Dawn is very detailed-oriented, and it feels like it belongs, while in Nier Automata it was very much more or less plain.
Yeah.
Where you just repeat the same areas over and over again.
Yeah, for sure. It was.
That's just what I think.
It was a smaller map, I think.
Much smaller map.
Yeah, and the color scheme is more muted in Nier.
Yes.
And speaking of...
Yeah, and that's clearly on purpose, too.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
Like, and heck, when you go all the way up to the space station, it's like almost basic. Actually, it is basically black and white and gray.
Yeah, it's a very monochrome type of game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait for you to get to Monster Hunter World, because I would play the shit out of that with you.
Yeah, I would have gotten it yesterday, but the weather, the roads were absolute shit, so I didn't want to risk getting in a collision.
Well, let's get on to the news. What do you say?
One last thing, I found out something interesting about Nier Automata.
Oh, okay.
The voice actress who plays 2B also voices Aerith in Final Fantasy VII Machine Abridged by Team 4-Star. Yep, Kira Buckland herself.
It's a pretty fun fact.
Yeah. I found that out when I was listening to a playthrough that a couple of the guys on Team 4-Star were playing of Nier Automata. So I was like, cool.
All right. Well, moving on.
Okay.
So, this is something Kevin actually brought to my attention.
Yes.
Very busy guy, hence why he's not here.
Yeah.
Is the Microsoft Game Pass. Now, what this is Xbox is kind of rolling out their version of, say, Netflix, but with games. So think of like GameFly, if you remember that at all.
Yeah, I remember
where
that.
you would rent a game, play it, and then you'd throw it back, and then you could get another game later.
Yeah.
But this is $10 USD a month, in which you would download the full game, so you wouldn't stream it compared to PlayStation Now.
Yeah.
Because what PlayStation Now is it's streamline only, so there's a lot of, unless you have like a fantastic internet connection, you go through a lot of lag, controller input delays, the list goes on.
Yeah, it's like
and you have a select number of games that PlayStation dubs you can have during this service.
Yeah, it's basically cloud gaming.
Yes, while this Microsoft Game Pass is first-party releases only, so it's about 100-ish games.
Yep.
But it's mostly just going to be the Halos, the Gears of War, etc., etc.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a great idea, because if you put it all together in perspective, it's $10 a month, $120 a year. That's 2 games a year, and if you're a person that doesn't like physical media, this seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're an Xbox owner. Kevin spoke that he actually wants an Xbox just for this service now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It releases the same day as Sea of Thieves is coming out, which I believe is March 20th of this year.
Oh, yeah.
So,
interesting.
What this tells me is they want Sea of Thieves to be this a game to have a lot of longevity with the Xbox console itself. So it almost seems like it's $10 a month to play Sea of Thieves. This is how I'm interpreting this, and it comes with a lot of these first party releases that, knowing Xbox owners, they don't like keeping their games anyways. So this goes right into the demographic of that sort of console owner.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what do you think about this Game Pass idea and what it means?
I didn't really look too far in depth into it, although I did see a video by the YouTuber Review Tech USA. He actually mentioned how a game store in Austria actually decided to stop selling all Microsoft stuff after that announcement in protest, because at that point they thought, well, what's the point of actually selling the physical copies then?
Right.
Yeah. And then he went on to say that thanks to stuff like this, the brick and mortar video game stores are on their way out the door, much like how Blockbuster basically had to close down because of stuff like Netflix. And
right,
I'm starting to think,
yeah, it's very much in that same realm of future.
Yeah, it's, even though I love having physical copies, I have to admit that maybe that's what's going to happen. All games are moving towards all digital.
No, and this is exactly what Microsoft wanted to do in the first place with the Xbox One launch. But the console always being online and with the Kinect, etc., etc.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stink behind it.
I can see that.
This digital-only library, much like Steam, is what they wanted Xbox to become, and that's definitely what the future is.
Yeah.
Just look at Steam wanting to release the Steam box.
Yeah, yeah. Like you mean the Ouya?
Well, we'll get to the Ouya, because that goes into the next topic. But Microsoft Game Pass, it definitely piques my interest, and this is the way of the future. There's no doubt behind it. There will come a time where, as a physical media collector myself, and you yourself, Colin.
Yes.
We'll just have to accept the fact that digital is going to be the way, just like music, just like how GameStop will become the next Blockbuster, where the brick and mortar, as you said, will just disappear.
Basically.
Now, retro game stores will still more or less be open, but they'll be few and far between. We're already seeing a lot of them just kind of close down.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Whether it's property values rising,
yeah,
or what have you,
or stuff like eBay.
eBay ruining that as well. It's very much in the same way.
Yeah.
So would you consider getting this Microsoft Game Pass?
If I had an Xbox, maybe. I mean, if it's $10 a month to play certain games temporarily, then I think it could be very handy. I mean, I wouldn't have to wait for certain times to actually do it. Wouldn't have to wait until I have the physical version. But again, like you said, an internet connection would be necessary. Although, is it that you can download it onto your system temporarily and then it just disappears after a while?
Yeah, you'd have there's only a limited amount of space. You would download the game and then you'd essentially delete it and get another one.
Yeah, that could be pretty handy. But,
it's kind of like PlayStation Plus, where you get a game off that.
Yeah.
It's free, and as long as you have the PlayStation Plus service, then you can play that game.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very much like that.
Yeah.
Now, would you see Nintendo or PlayStation doing something like this in response to Microsoft? Because I can't imagine this would make a whole hell of a lot of money at first, but I feel like in the long run, for first-party releases, that this would be a great idea for Xbox, considering their extremely low exclusive console game releases.
Yeah, it makes more sense for Microsoft, because they've since the beginning have been focused a lot on multiplayer games. Like they even with, like, think think when Xbox 360 came out, it all, or maybe it was the original Xbox, but I can't remember. They included an actual like headset microphone type deal with every console to encourage a lot of online play. And that's why stuff like Halo 2 or Halo 1, 2, and 3 were known for their online multiplayer.
Right. They just kind of went in that direction, took what they were good at and went with it. I don't see Nintendo doing this at all. We'll see what happens come later in the year when their online service comes out, but I feel like that's going to be very much in the realm of the PlayStation Plus side of things, where you, as long as you have the service, you have the select games per month, and you play it during that time.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, PlayStation, they've clearly tried something like this with PlayStation Now. The issue behind that is the third-party releases. PlayStation has so many of them that it would be isolating those companies. So that's the negative that I see Xbox heading in this, if they do something like this. Because then third-party would be... I would see a third-party company like Capcom going, well, then why would we release anything on your system if it's just going to be this $10 a month thing, while it could be a PlayStation exclusive or Nintendo exclusive where hundreds of millions of people around the world have this console and they would have to play it. They would pay full price for a game of our game to be on that system.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Like, where would the money come from if they put it onto the service?
Yeah, I mean, that would then in turn deplete the profit margin of Microsoft and what money they would make off this Game Pass.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see the economic fallout behind this.
Yeah.
Now, keeping with PlayStation doing it, with their PlayStation Now service, with their select backlog of games, if as long as you have the PlayStation Now and you got to keep doing that, I could see keep playing those past games that were released on PlayStation Now, then a backlog library would be built over time. So maybe, whether it be not this console generation, maybe the next one, I could see being 100% digital, where this PlayStation Now service becomes a streamlined thing where it's very much the same as download the full game, and as long as it's been on PlayStation Now, that's your library. And then you have the PlayStation Network with a lot of their past titles from the PlayStation, PS2, and PS3 era where you'd pay, their set price, and it would just go on to the PlayStation, your specific PlayStation Now service.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, they're kind of already doing that by releasing some retro games onto the PS3. Like, I downloaded Gunstar Heroes onto my PS3.
Yeah, so all that has to be done is you just make that PlayStation Now service just integrated into it.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, it in theory it sounds like an easy thing to do.
Yeah, but things rarely go the same in practice as in theory.
Yeah, just look at how much an issue PlayStation has was changing their your online ID.
Oh yeah,
they're still working on it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
So in terms of the future, there's heavy rumors that Google themselves are making a console.
Yeah.
Now this rumor originated in about 2013, and it just resurfaced recently that Google wants to do their own Android-type device. Now, when I say that, like you said, Colin, you brought it up earlier, was the Ouya. Which is an Android-based run little box where everything's digital.
Yeah, it was created by Valve, I think.
So, the Ouya had its faults, namely the controller, and then just the not as many fall-away indie titles that they would have wanted on it came out. not to say that there weren't good games. I mean, Bomb Squad was pretty fun.
Uh-huh.
Towerfall originally came on and as an exclusive. So, the games, there were some games on there.
Yeah.
But it was just too small for the market. Now, if Google, a major company, I could easily see Google, if they get the controller right. Because as Ouya showed, if you get the controller wrong, nobody will want to play with it. Because you're physically holding something that's uncomfortable.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I didn't particularly like the Ouya controller either. It was just really cumbersome.
No, I mean, I would hook up the PlayStation controller instead.
Yeah.
And that's how we'd play on it. But anyways, Google making a splash like this, going into what we believe is easily just the digital age in the future. I could see Google making a splash like Microsoft did in the early 2000s. With Xbox.
Yeah, I remember.
And since Google already has a heavy digital-only base, this could be the next thing to compete.
Yeah, although some other consoles aside from the Ouya have tried the cloud gaming thing before. That is exclusively cloud gaming, like the OnLive, I think. They tried to break into the market with that, and it didn't really take off.
It almost seems like you need name value for it to work, and I think Google has that name value.
Yeah, although the code name for this console is the Yeti.
I'd be down.
Yeah. Not sure what the significance of it really is, but
I'd be totally down. I mean, like I say about any console, if you have the games and I want to play those games, I will get the device.
Yeah, that's my thing too. I want to know the thing has games I would want to play.
Yeah, and that's a problem with the HTC Vive. It's the best form of virtual reality right now, but there aren't many games on it.
Yeah.
That's why PlayStation VR is eclipsing the Oculus right now. It just has games.
Yeah. It reminds me.
It's by no means the best VR.
Yeah, but it has stuff that you want to play. I remember Yahtzee making a similar point like that on Zero Punctuation. He's like, E3 presentations didn't need to look like political rallies in the past because they sold themselves on their games. Here's a console that lets you play fun games, they would say. Which games, we would ask. These ones, they would reply. Ooh, those do look fun, we would conclude.
Yeah, he always brings up just the simplest points, and they always hit home well. I'd be very curious to see someone like him reacting to a Google console.
Yeah.
And I'd feel he'd have kind of a similar opinion. It's like, hey, yeah, great, Google, I've heard of them. Are there going to be games to go on this boxy thing?
Yeah, and then he'll probably have an
yes
icon.
or no. Well, then I don't want the boxy thing.
No, people are like, let us get back to you on that. But here's the thing. I read in some articles that Google actually has Phil Harrison on their team now.
And who's that?
You might remember he was the PlayStation executive for 15 years in the past, and after that spent 3 years on the Xbox team. So he has a lot of experience and skill to offer to Google to make it a success. So I'm curious what they'll do, or what he'll do, to make this try and break out into the console market.
To break out into the console market, I think a good example would be seeing the positive and then the negative by the success and the failure of some past ones. So in his case, the success would be PlayStation, a brand new company making a splash on a competitive console market.
Yep.
Or look at the other way, seeing someone like Sega, that has a name value, and just making one mistake or two or three that immediately depletes that name value. So Google's clearly got him for the earlier reason. I think it would be, but we've seen a very big failure in the EA executive. I can't think of his name right now, but he's the one that came up with the 3DO.
Oh yeah.
Kind of a concept and idea of the next generation of games. He got the next generations of games wrong, and the technology came out too early.
Plus it was really expensive.
To me, right, it was too expensive for the time, and then the type of games that were coming out for it weren't games people wanted or were even ready for with kind of the full motion video. Because Sega thought that as well with the Sega CD. Nintendo was even thinking that with going with PlayStation for a CD-based system, very much in that realm. Clearly didn't hit. Yeah. Meanwhile, PlayStation then comes out with their own console and comes up with this vast 3D type game environment, and they just had the games to go along with it by staying with sort of the past but going towards the future. I mean, it all kind of runs together in one way or another. I'm very interested in seeing how Google will take this, whether it's go along with what Microsoft thinks is the big thing with this 4K experience, or the Nintendo perspective where it's just come out with a fun game and a cool new concept and it'll sell itself.
Yeah. Plus, Nintendo tries to keep its market as broad as possible. It makes family games first and foremost.
Right. You got to hit your demographic. Nintendo clearly hits theirs with be it family or nostalgia. PlayStation hits theirs with even going back to the mid 90s when it first came out. This is the adult console.
Yeah, for sure.
Where you play adult games.
Yeah, it's like a lot of my PS3 library is M-rated games.
Yeah, I've noticed that in mine as well. A lot of my PlayStation games are the M, my Nintendo is E, not so much in between.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I'm wondering what companies would be going along with Google. I could see someone like EA hopping on that train hard. I don't think it's interesting that Microsoft has rumors of buying out EA, but I don't see that as a possibility. There's too much red string involved there.
Yeah, especially as of late.
Yeah,
for
EA doesn't have the best reputation.
Yeah. It only got worse with their actions recently.
Yeah. So I'm very excited. Well, speaking of 4 kids, Nintendo announced a hip, new, cheap creation type thing called Nintendo Labo.
Yep. Expensive cardboard.
Sort of. In layman's terms, yes, that's exactly what it is. It's a kid interactive creation toy made out of cardboard that integrates a connection via the Switch and its controllers.
Yeah.
It's kind of a do-it-yourself thing in which you'll get a game, and the game will teach you how to put the cardboard together, and then you use said cardboard creation to play with the game. So, for example, in the trailer, we saw a fishing rod, and you're playing the fishing rod in game, kind of like Sega bass fishing on the Dreamcast back in the 2000s.
Yeah.
We saw a Rock'em Sock'em robot type creation where it's like this backpack with, and it's not just cardboard. There's actual like string and wires going in there in pulley systems. So
yeah,
it's pretty.
That looked really cool.
It's not as simple as just cardboard sounds.
Yeah, and there was also like a.
And let's face it, the jokes coming out of this were fantastic. With my cat's new favorite toy, and it shows like a destroyed piece of cardboard with the cat inside.
Yeah. And PNG Gamer did a whole video. He's like, I got this at a back alley in the Nintendo Labo. He spends like a few minutes just making all those jokes.
So jokes aside, what I thought was the coolest thing. This comes out April 20th, by the way, so 420 blaze it.
Yeah.
Had to be said. Same day as God of War Valhalla comes out.
Yeah.
Because I refuse to call it just God of War.
Me too.
This Nintendo Labo, I love this idea because it's very simple. It's affordable. Because let's say the game is like $40, and the all the parts and pieces inside are about the 20, and licensing and what have you. Not too expensive.
I thought I remembered Review Tech USA saying it was going to be like $70 or $80 for the whole set.
Well, in Canada, yeah, it's gonna be inflated naturally. But here's the cool part: you can buy the games separately.
No, I think I remember it was supposed to like come with a cartridge with all the mini games on it.
Yeah, that cartridge is being sold separate because what Nintendo's doing, because you can't license cardboard.
Yeah, that's true.
All of the how to and what items you need will be available online for free.
Oh yeah.
So you can just go to a hardware store or something and get all the string and cardboard you need at a much cheaper price, and all you need is an X-Acto knife and you're set.
Yeah, pretty much. It actually, the whole thing kind of reminds me of like 3D puzzles. You remember those?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also like a Lego set and those old Kinects things. Do you remember those?
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. It's just like those, but cardboard.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it. I'm definitely going to be getting one of them. I don't know which one yet.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards the robot.
I'd probably get either the motorcycle one or the steering wheel with the pedal one, because it would be so.
Well, that comes in the same thing.
It would be so much fun to play Mario Kart with those.
Because that's in the variety pack.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's two being released: the variety pack and then the robot pack. The variety pack is, your steering wheel and pedals, your fishing pole and what have you. While the robot one is the one with the crazy backpack and wires and whatnot.
Yeah, I can see that.
What I'm wondering though is how that's gonna work for, say, an adult or a bigger person, because this is clearly for kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember another bit of Review Tech USA. He's saying he's seeing all these dude bros online saying, "What am I, kid? This isn't meant for me." And then he's saying, "Dude, calm your tits. It's for kids."
Yeah, kind of like when Skylanders came out. It's like, yeah, the games are super easy. It's for kids.
Yeah.
It's for like 5-year-olds that want to collect their little toy.
Yeah. Although at the same time, he mentions that since it's for kids, but since it's also cardboard, it might not stand up to abuse very well because kids can be rough with their toys.
Absolutely. And it from what I saw, it looks like they're going to be made pretty well for the most part. And because of this whole, you can easily replace it yourself by just going to a hardware store or something.
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, they might provide stickers to put onto cardboard that you can trace with your X-Acto knife. I can see that being a thing.
Yeah, you just have to. Yeah, I mean the dimensions. I looked at some of the schematics already, and the dimensions were all there.
Oh yeah.
So again, all you need is a ruler and an X-Acto knife, and you're set.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, this is clearly for the parent to make with their kid.
Yeah, I can see that.
I can't not love this idea enough.
Yeah, me too. It's just a matter of whether or not it'll hold up in practice, but I think it'll
remain to be seen, but I'm very optimistic about this.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I remember watching Nintendo's marketing spot for it, and whoever does the marketing for Nintendo nowadays is very good at their job.
Get them a raise.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, hell, I think that's a big reason why the Switch sold as well as it did.
Oh, sure. Kept a lot of the mystery behind it, and then when it finally came out, hey, it's a portable device as well.
Yeah.
It does work. It's funny how people complained about the Nintendo Switch having a low battery life at first. You don't hear so much about that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I still have concerns about that, but I still want to get one.
So, I'm more optimistic about Nintendo Labo than I am about the Microsoft Game Pass.
Yeah, me too.
I think the Game Pass is a good idea, but I think it's going to hurt the console in the end more than help it in terms of Xbox.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think it's clearly being marketed as a way to pay for Sea of Thieves $10 a month.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, Sea of Thieves looks like a cool game. I'm just not sure if I'll end up playing it anytime soon.
I don't have an Xbox, so and I don't know. We get into that on the modern cast, whether it's good or not.
Yeah, yeah.
My first impression from the beta was it's a game that you'll play with a couple friends for maybe an hour or two, and then you're done.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, Colin, I think this is a good time to get into our theme. What do you say?
Sounds good. Top-down action games.
Yeah, so let's get Kevin's picks out of the way first, since he's not here.
Okay.
So Kevin's first pick, I'll take this one away, is Toe Jam and Earl.
Oh, yeah.
On the Sega Genesis.
Uh-huh. That was a very unique game.
Very unique, to say the least. It came out in the Sega Genesis in 1991. The developer was basically EA.
Yeah.
It's by the guy. I don't have his name in front of me right now. Johnson Vorzanger Productions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was just part of EA.
Oh, yeah.
And there was no Japan release. Came out in North America and Europe only.
Yeah, I can totally see that. It's like,
and this wasn't the first game that wasn't released in Japan on our list here.
Yeah, yeah. I think
there was 2 others.
Oh yeah, was it?
Yep.
Well,
no, we'll get into them. Don't say the
yeah.
names. Don't say the names. We'll get to them.
Yeah.
So this game is about these 2 aliens. One short and fast dude and a fat alien. Spaceships crash on this planet, and now the 2 characters must go around various terrains collecting ship parts while avoiding enemies, obstacles across 9 levels. I thought the difficulty spike was very fair.
Yeah.
What do you think, Colin?
Yeah, it's pretty easy to get through until like the 20 plus stages, and then it starts getting a little more difficult, but I didn't find it like punishingly difficult.
No, as soon as it almost felt like a rogue like experience in
really
terms of modern gaming.
Yeah, it felt a lot like that to me too.
Yeah, where you collect various items. Your items have various purposes, such as if you want to get over water, make sure you have this floaty device.
Yeah. And then if you wanted to move faster, you could get like high top sneakers or rocket cicades.
Damn right.
Yeah. Yeah, that.
If only there was a little pump on the tongue.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very, very 90s experience. It's just dripping with American 90s pop culture.
It felt like a game that was ripped out of Nickelodeon.
It really does, yeah. You even had like
be it Ren and Stimpy or Rocko's Modern Life, just one,
or
Saved
by the
name
Bell.
Something. Yeah, exactly. It was very self-aware of the time it came out in.
Yeah. Yes, part of the theme of the game was the aliens being weirded out by all the Earth 90s stuff. Like, we gotta stay the heck away from these guys.
Yeah, so basically, you're these 2 aliens. You literally just walk around a terrain, finding the parts, and there's just kooky enemies.
Yeah.
Just scattered throughout the maps to kind of ruin your day. Be it trying to get a present from Santa Claus, who, if you don't sneak up to him, he'll go away in a jetpack.
Yeah, I remember that.
To loads of like dude bros from California, wanting to hit you up for Kool-Aid or something.
Yeah. There's also mothers with shopping carts that had screaming children, teleporting ice cream trucks, Hawaiian hula dancers. You get too close to them, you end up freezing in place doing hula dancing yourself.
Yeah, so it's a very funky game.
Yeah, I think a couple of the most annoying ones were the invisible creepers who kind of sneak up on you and go oogie boogie boogie boogie.
Oh, I hated that guy.
Yeah, that was so annoying.
Yeah, you had to make sure you had be it a jetpack yourself or the running shoes to get away from that guy, because all you get is the inkling of footsteps going around and you're like, shit.
Well, sometimes you see like a silhouette of them within your general vicinity, but they're really fast, so it's hard to get away from them.
Yeah, it was by far the hardest enemy in the game. I had a problem with falling off the map quite a bit.
Yeah, that happened to me too a lot. Of
kind of
course.
wish there was like that invisible barrier for at least the sides.
Yeah.
Not so much going up and down, because then you could tell via perspective, but the left and right was kind of irritating.
Although sometimes there were items where you could go back to the level you were at before. It was called the unfall.
Right. Yeah, instead of dying or what have you, you would just fall multiple levels down.
Yeah, and then you could, but it would sometimes take a really long time to get back to the elevator to get back up to your original level.
Yeah.
Like I said, very slow to move around.
Yeah. The game isn't all that long either once you have a good idea of what you need to do and where to go. Because I think you could beat it in like 40 minutes or something.
Maybe.
Or an hour max.
Yeah,
it's not very long.
Took me probably about 3 or 4 hours cumulative.
Well, yeah, total. But once you get it, like it's almost like Ninja Gaiden level. Like if you can pound through the game, it's about an hour. This game reminded me in its terms of charm and personality, so much of the Earthworm Jim series.
Yeah, it really does.
Whether it be the humor or the self-awareness of it all, and the fact that the characters and all the designs within the game scream 90s.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and plus they both came out on the Genesis.
Yeah, the difference being that Earthworm Jim also came out on the Super Nintendo. This was a Genesis exclusive title.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and I totally understand why this wasn't released in Japan, because this was strictly a North American 90s type release, a Western game for a Western audience.
Yeah,
Japanese culture, I can just assume in the 90s, wasn't anything like this.
Yeah, they just be a lot more confused than anything else.
Yeah, kind of like how I mean, there's certain games in the 90s that were never released outside Japan for similar reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
You just didn't think the culture of the game would jive with the Western audience.
Yeah,
the one that comes to mind is a PC Engine game where a dude takes pictures the whole time, and it's just crazy Japanese stuff going along the whole time.
I'm not sure I've heard of that one myself, but it sounds interesting. It's like non-horror Fatal Frame, I would assume.
Yeah, it's more comical.
Yeah,
in that sense. So.
It's like you said.
I quite enjoyed the game. I quite enjoyed Toe Jam and Earl.
Yeah, you actually said to me before that it's a great game to play with a friend while drunk or stoned.
Yes, absolutely. By yourself, it loses just a little bit of something. It seems like this game was made to be played in co-op.
Yeah, it really does. Because you have that option. I actually downloaded it onto my PS3 because it was available for $5.
Oh, there you go.
I had some money left over in my wallet, so I figured, what the hell?
I found some change under the couch. Whatever. Yeah, I have this game via the Sega collection.
Yeah.
So, the sequel to this I have on the Genesis itself, and that's a more of a platformer. That one's weird. I do like it more than this one, but this one has more personality than anything. Yeah, and that's where that's where a lot of the charm comes into play.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, would you recommend it?
I think so. If only to play once. It's just something that has to be seen to be believed.
And yeah, I can't think of another game that's quite like this.
Yeah. Plus, if you're looking for like a big nostalgia trip to the 90s, then this is absolutely perfect.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, I think if you're a fan of the Earthworm Jim series, this game would be around that same type of
same type of weirdness.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think Earthworm Jim has more in the way of gameplay.
Yes. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. So the next game Kevin picked was a very popular series game.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Bomberman at all.
Bomber what now?
Nah, what? Who? No. Yeah, there's over like 20 releases of the Bomberman series. Kevin picked specifically Super Bomberman on the Super Nintendo, and it came out in 1993 by a company called Produce.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I did a little research on this company. They're very interesting. It was a short-lived kind of third-party developer, specifically that Hudson and Enix would hire to make some games.
Oh, yeah.
For them.
Interesting.
So Hudson Soft is, or at least at the time was, because now it's Konami, the Bomberman makers. But for about 3 of the Bomberman series games, specifically on the Super Nintendo, they outsourced it to this company, Produce.
Oh, yeah.
And Enix did the same thing. So even though Produce didn't make a lot of games, they definitely made games that you've heard of. The Bomberman series is definitely something to bring up there.
Yeah, for sure.
I was quite surprised by him because I'd never heard of him before this.
Oh, yeah.
So what this did was this was the first Bomberman that incorporated 4 players.
Oh, yeah?
Simultaneous play.
Neat.
Yeah, you would think that the first couple in the series already had that, even on the NES, with the NES 4-player adapter, the 4-score. No, that was only a 2-player game.
Huh.
Yeah, I was shocked. There is a story in this game. I don't know if you played it, Colin, or you just stuck to multiplayer.
I played the single player. So
it's so you're in Peacetown,
yeah.
And a robot death battle has been created by the evil Carrot Diamond,
Yeah.
and basically he wants to kidnap Bomberman because he wants to like harvest his parts because he's a super robot.
Yeah.
Very simplistic story.
Yeah.
You much like just about every Bomberman game.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's along those lines.
Yeah, Bomberman doesn't need any complicated plot lines.
No. I have Super Bomberman R for the Switch, and you played it. No, me and Alex played it the most in back in Toronto.
I played it with you guys for a couple of hours.
You did play it a couple times, yeah. You did play it a couple times.
It was fun.
It's very. No, I've never played a bad Bomberman game. Now, are some games better than others? Yeah, like Bomberman on the Sega Saturn has 8 players simultaneous, and it's madness.
Yeah, that sounds really crazy.
But this one basically made the Bomberman that we now associate.
Yeah.
Bomberman with the madness 4 players, the cool 16-bit over top-down perspective with the cool map design. It's more of a grid than a map.
Yeah, it really is. With
various obstacles and all different types of bombs to collect, whether it be like a nitro bomb that you can push across a map, or a jelly bomb that it can bounce, what have you.
Or you can kick the bombs.
I thought, yeah.
I think
what I thought the most interesting in this game was the fact that each level felt unique to each other.
Yeah, they all looked different. I think World 3 was probably my favorite because it had kind of like a microchip board aesthetic.
Uh-huh.
And it had the most balanced challenge and my favorite boss fight.
The boss fights were definitely really fun.
Yeah.
They were definitely made specifically for the map that they entailed, and that's something that a few other Bombermans just didn't do. Super Bomberman R comes to mind there, with just the terrible idea of the boss battles in that game. Yeah. But this one did it right.
Yeah, like the third boss is like a scientist in a giant claw robot. He like fires his claws down the screen to try and grab you, and then also fires homing missiles, and they look exactly like bullet bills.
Right.
And just have to dodge all of those and then plant a bomb close enough to hit him. Although it sounds easier. It's easier than it sounds.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that goes along with the Bomberman series is the endless frustration, and you just mad at yourself more than anything. Be it that you put a bomb that trapped you yourself in a corner,
Yeah.
or you knew it was going to go off, but you pressed left anyways,
Yeah.
and or you forget that this particular bomb goes all the way across the map, and you're like, oh, okay, I can just go across. Shit!
Yeah. Yeah. I've had so many moments like that.
Yeah, this is multiplayer gold at its best, and we just don't get a lot of these games today. It's couch co-op, and I'm so shocked that a Bomberman game just wasn't picked back in I think it was our second episode where we went over co-op games.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually kind of thinking a couple weeks after I picked the topic and picked my games, I was thinking maybe I should have also included Zombies Ate My Neighbors, because that's also co-op and top-down action. But oh well, too late now.
Oh well, no, it's a good honorable mention to bring up for sure. I'm personally not a fan of the series, but many people love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, but this my favorite level was the what I dubbed the warp level.
Oh yeah.
Where you'd go in and out of warp points, and it would spit you out on another random part of the map. So you're kind of hoping that someone didn't lay a bomb in that area, or use the warp to fast travel across to another area to get that item, or you know, I thought it had a lot of randomness to it, but a lot of risk reward type value. That's why that was my favorite map in Super Bomberman.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
the
sure.
color scheme in this game was fantastic.
Yeah, it looks really really good. It's colorful, cartoony. Kind of reminded me of the visuals of some old DOS games, like say Jazz Jackrabbit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very surprised because one Bomberman game that I have in particular is for the PC Engine, and that's Bomberman 93, I believe. Definitely not as colorful.
Oh,
the
yeah.
PC Engine was known for being a more colorful system, but the way that the Super Nintendo handles this and how they made the game to incorporate the color schemes it just blew me away.
Yeah, I really liked it. It's kind of funny. The closest thing to a true Bomberman game I played growing up was Wario Blast on the Game Boy, which black and white.
Okay.
But it actually did feature Bomberman and played exactly like a Bomberman game. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Super Bomberman on the Super Nintendo is definitely a little bit more on the expensive side if you want to buy it for the Super Nintendo in a hard copy, but there's other ways you can get it via a virtual console or not. But now with the Switches out, you're kind of SOL.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I think my favorite power-up in the game was the remote detonating bombs.
Oh yeah, that's how I got past a lot of enemies.
Just something about being able to choose when your explosives explode gives you more of a sense of power.
Heavy advantage. I could.
It reminds me so much of when I was playing Fallout New Vegas, and I would just utterly destroy Deathclaws by remote detonating C4 blocks. It was so much fun just watching them go flying like hundreds of feet into the sky.
There's a very satisfying element to this game.
Absolutely.
Over and over again. I highly recommend it if you can find yourself a copy.
Yeah. Although, fuck the blue Cyclops Pac-Man enemies. They're the reason I had to start all over again just to have enough power-ups to take them down in the second world. Because I got fucked so hard by them. And plus, the gold coin enemies are assholes. Because they can actually pass through destructible items that you can't pass. And they have really unpredictable paths.
That's good to bring up. I totally forgot to mention some of the enemies in the game.
Yeah.
And those are great examples. Every Bomberman game always seems to create new, unique enemies.
Yeah.
And they still haven't run out of ideas, it seems.
Yeah. I actually had like an almost rage quit moment at level 4-1. It's like when I had almost
that sounds about right.
Yeah. when I had almost all of the destructible bricks destroyed and the exit square was open, there was just one bomb enemy left. But the problem was, it exploded itself right next to the square, and since the square spawns more enemies when that happens, it spawned another bomb enemy. And since I couldn't kill it due to it being temporarily invincible, it kept exploding near the square, spawning another bomb enemy, and on and on and on.
Yeah.
I just got
so
ends. Angry and frustrated, but somehow I found the will to keep going, and then eventually the remaining two ended up changing their course sideways as opposed to still being in line with the exit point, so they couldn't hit the exit square anymore. So I managed to blow them up and beat the level, but for a while it looked like it was never gonna end.
Bomberman frustration 101.
Yeah, I'm just so glad the game had infinite continues.
Yeah, that's I really wish more games would do that.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for the infinite continues, I wouldn't have beaten the game either, or at least the story mode.
Yeah.
I did find myself just playing my favorite stages over and over again against computer enemies. Once I was done.
Oh yeah.
This was a game I went back to quite a bit.
Yeah. Bit of a side note. Angry Joe actually put Super Bomberman R as his number 8 of 10 worst games of 2017.
Yeah, that's just because it was disappointing compared to a lot of previous releases. It didn't live up to the Bomberman name per se, but the multiplayer's still there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. If you put the story mode in perspective, yeah, it was really bad. With the cheap boss battles, the seemingly repetitive board design, this coin transaction system the game has. I wasn't a fan of it.
Ah, yeah.
But the multiplayer was definitely there. I quite enjoyed it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That was a lot of
Speaking
fun.
of nostalgia and hitting on all those on those keys, Colin, your first pick.
Okay. My first pick is The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening for the Game Boy.
Now, I played Link's Awakening DX on the Game Boy Color because it was color.
Yeah, I actually put I put Link's Awakening DX onto my 3DS for the sake of this podcast, but I remember playing it as a kid in black and white on an original Game Boy. Believe it or not, it's actually the very first Zelda game I ever played. Because a grade school friend of mine loved playing it whenever I was over, and he would always cheat by exploiting some glitch where you could, I think by hitting select and start at the same time over and over and pressing the D-pad in a certain direction, he could actually warp himself up into different spots that you couldn't initially access without certain power-ups.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I can't remember how it actually worked, but that's what he kept doing.
So when did this come out? Who made it? What's this Zelda Link's Awakening game you speak of?
I think it came out in 93.
Correct.
Yeah, it was. I think it was the third Zelda game ever to come out after Zelda 2.
Incorrect.
Yeah. It was
the fourth.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Because it went Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2, Link to the Past, and then this game, I believe.
Yeah. And according to Wikipedia, it started as a port of Link to the Past. But then it became an original project when Takashi Tezuka took over. And then...
Yep. It's, there's no Zelda in the game.
Yeah.
But it features...
Although she...
which I thought was different, but that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm okay with different.
Yeah,
There's no Triforce. You're not in Hyrule.
Yeah. Yeah, Zelda is very briefly mentioned at the beginning of the game when Link wakes up on the island and sees Marin. He's like, "What? Zelda? No, name's Marin." But yeah, that's what makes this game so different. You're not in Hyrule. You're on a place called Koholint Island. and you're trying to awaken the windfish to try and escape the island, because apparently that's the only way to get off the island.
Yeah, and you have to collect these 8 musical devices, and when you put them all together, they create a sound to wake the fish.
Yeah. And then as the game goes on, you find that the whole thing is Link's dream that he's trapped in, because the windfish is also asleep. It's a little confusing, but each boss...
I didn't think it was all that confusing.
Yeah, it's fairly simple all told. And all the bosses are essentially nightmares. But
yeah, I thought that was a good little twist, actually. I think the most jarring was when I got out of that first house and I see a chain chomp in front of the other person. Yeah, in front of the neighbor's place. And I'm like, what the hell is that doing here?
Yeah, I was gonna mention this game has so many Mario elements in it. There's there's
a 2D section where you bounce on Goombas.
Yeah, and there's also piranha plants coming out of pipes, and there's some Shy Guys, and Terran, the character, he looks like Mario himself.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that around the time this was made, Zelda was still kind of establishing itself, and a little bit of Mario fan service helped keep people's attention and stick in their minds a little more.
Maybe in terms of handheld, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
But the 2D sections, because after Zelda 2, the 2D just didn't go well with what Zelda is.
Yeah.
However, in Link's Awakening here, those 2D sections weren't just, say, this irritating platform section. It was integrated in different ways, such as there's a fishing section where you're trying to catch a fish in the water. That's 2D.
Yeah.
Going down a pathway and bouncing on Goombas and going back up. They were short and sweet, and I actually quite enjoyed them.
Yeah, it's like in dungeons, to get to different sections of them, you'd go down staircases and then do a very quick sort of 2D side-scroll platforming thing to go up to the other end, and then you'll come out at another section of the dungeon, and it'll go right back to top-down perspective.
Yeah, everything about the game just felt right.
Yeah.
Just on this little Game Boy, can we talk about how the hell this thing worked on a Game Boy and a Game Boy Color?
Yeah. Yeah,
because it just baffled me. Because every other Game Boy game, because we talked about in the previous cast with Metroid 2, how sure, awesome that the game ran, but it was still very limited with a lot of the areas looking samey. There's no map in it.
Yeah,
this game had all that. It had the map. It had every area look unique.
Yeah, and it actually
the music varied constantly in the game.
Yeah, and the visual style was actually so much more crisp and defined than the NES Zelda. It was almost
incredible.
on the level of Link to the Past, actually.
Yeah, just on this little tiny 2x2 screen.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I couldn't get over it. Now, I did find it in times kind of hard to play on that little screen, and I had to switch to the GameCube and play it on a much larger perspective. But even then, everything just worked.
It really did,
and the story being sort of convoluted, but not enough where it was deterring.
Yeah.
This quickly became one of my favorite Zelda games of all time now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Same for me. Speaking of the story, I actually kind of like how it does certain things to kind of get you emotionally invested, because when you find partway through the game that the island will disappear when you wake up, when you and the windfish wake up, it hammers in the fact that everything will disappear, including the people, and along the way...
Yeah, all the people you've come to know.
Yeah, and along the way you there's sort of a small romance brewing between Link and Marin. And there's actually there's a really funny moment where you go to try and get her from the beach to go to the animal village, and then they have a small little moment looking out onto the sea on the beach, And then
yeah, it's almost like Link's inner conscience is kind of talking to him like, this is your ideal woman, this is your ideal world.
Yeah. And then after
you
that,
want this realm of some simplicity to his life.
Yeah. And then after that sequence, she agrees to go to the village, and then shows Link actually picking up Marin. So like, you got Marin. Is this your big chance? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, he's still got to put everything over his head, and the game has a few moments of humor like that. Even the tutorial at the beginning, it's like to save, you have to press all the buttons at once.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, followed by the words, but I'm just a kid. What do I know? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, they got some fourth wall humor like that. And there's actually something else where in the claw machine game, as part of the trading sequence, you collect a Yoshi doll, and then when you actually get it, it says, he's been appearing in a lot of games recently. Yeah.
Yeah, but more of the Mario homages just
Yeah.
thrown in here.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed this game. I mean, you spoke highly about it before. I've listened to a few podcasts where they talk highly of Link's Awakening, just never played it, and I finally sat down and I couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it better than Breath of the Wild.
Oh yeah?
Just from a pure fun standpoint. I don't think it's a better game than Breath of the Wild, but I like it more.
Nice. Yeah, with the
I was pleasantly surprised.
Back to the whole Marin thing, you can tell there's kind of a tragic romance thing going on there, because there's another moment where she teaches you the Windfish song, and then she actually says, please don't forget this melody, or me. And then when you find out later the island will disappear, that will include Marin, and Link will never see her again.
Aww. But he'll have the song in his memory.
For sure.
Yeah.
Though I read that if you do certain things right, you'll see her appear as a seagull after the end credits, because that was what she specified.
Yeah,
one of her wishes.
The true ending. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a true ending to the game.
Yeah. And fun fact, this game actually had an ocarina and a hookshot before Ocarina of Time.
Yep. So you can tell where Ocarina of Time got its little inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, I noticed that as well. I was like, oh, look at that.
Though I remember...
No coincidence that was the next Zelda game.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I remember as a kid being kind of thrown off by the fact that you didn't go from level to level instantly like in Mario. You actually had to go out and find the levels.
I didn't find them that hard, though, to actually locate.
Yeah, me either, but I'm saying as a kid that really threw me off.
Oh, yeah.
That didn't really gel with my sensibilities with gaming at the time, but I'm a lot more used to it.
Oh, no, I had the exact same experience when I first had Zelda on the NES, where it's like, where do I go? What do I do? I don't understand.
Yeah.
My tiny little child mind can't put together such a thing on a grand scale like this. I've never experienced it before.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, the game holds up really well in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything about it is it's in my opinion the best Game Boy Color game you can get.
Absolutely. Although Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages, which are also Zelda games, I think are also...
Well, those are Game Boy Advance, aren't they?
No, Game Boy Color.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're not as good as this.
Yeah, but they play basically the same way and have a similar... Actually, the same visual style and gameplay style, with a few extra additions. Plus, through a password system, you can sort of play a two-part story with them, and you can... Doesn't matter which game you start from.
Right.
Which I thought was really cool. And I still have those games in my possession.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't get into the Oracle games, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I definitely got into this one, though.
Oh, for sure. Such a good game.
So your next pick.
Yep. and it is Star Tropics for the NES. And get ready, folks, it's life story time with Colin!
Okay, go on.
So, this game was a bit of an oddity for me growing up.
I think it was an oddity for a lot of people.
Yeah, but for me, probably in a different way, because I first experienced it when I was over with my brother at one of his friends' houses. We were playing the NES on a black and white TV in his basement. And yeah, they popped in Star Tropics at one point, and for the first 10 or 20 minutes, I was kind of tuning it out. But once they got to like the witch doctor lady with the waving hand, and then the real action portion started up, I was hooked. I mean, it was like the player character has a yo-yo as his main weapon, which was already a bit of an oddity, but not in a bad way. And then the action, the jumping, and the music, it just stuck in my mind. And then after that was done, I had no idea what the game was called for a time, but I definitely remembered how it played and sounded for years afterward. And at one point, when Super Smash Bros. Came out and they had Ness as a playable character, and since he uses a yo-yo too, I thought maybe it was Earthbound that they were playing. So that ended up making me want to play that game. But then a couple years after that, my dad comes home with an original Xbox from Value Village, which is basically a thrift store. And he, just for kicks, ended up modding it, because he's that kind of guy. He loves computers. And then in doing so, he put a couple of extra operating systems onto it, and one was dedicated to the big-ass emulator that he found, which basically had every single game for every single old-school console, up to and including the Sega Genesis. And then at one point, my brother decided to play on it. He boots up Star Tropics, and I'm curious, why that one? But then I watched him play, and then once it got to the action bits that I actually remembered, I was like, holy shit, so that's what it was! And ever since, I've been wanting to play it properly all the way through. And now, for the podcast, I got the chance.
Yeah, you actually showed me this game. There was even a couple other people in Toronto that spoke about Star Tropics. I don't know if it was I'm getting the feeling it was a Canadian nostalgia thing at this point.
Probably.
Because I'd never heard of anyone playing Star Tropics, and then everyone I met in Canada who had a Nintendo was like, oh yeah, Star Tropics, you heard of this shit? I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah, really.
And then you finally got it for, what, $10 at a convention?
Yeah, I think so, $15.
Yeah, something like that, so it's not expensive.
Yeah.
Pop it in, it looks so much like a Zelda game.
It really does, yeah.
Doesn't quite play the same, that's for sure, but it has a lot of similarities.
Yeah, absolutely.
We actually the music was definitely a standout.
Oh, for sure, yeah. We actually played a couple of recording videos for Musenspiel, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I thought getting to sit down this time and play it by myself, I was kind of put off by a lot of the controls in the game, but they weren't terrible by any means.
Yeah.
They weren't bad.
They were just a little stiff.
Yeah, I think it was the auto jumping mechanic that got me.
Yeah, probably.
I think that was the most irritating. But anyways, it came out in 1990, so it's an old game.
Oh, for sure.
By standards.
Yeah.
You go and visit. The main character goes and visits a doctor, but he's been abducted by aliens.
Yeah.
And then you get help from the village people in various ways. Whether they give you, like the first one gives you a yo-yo because you're based on the fact that you're a baseball pitcher. So it's just already just crazy out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of had an Indiana Jones vibe.
Yeah, it's just so odd. And then you use said yo-yo and other, be it items or what have you that you pick up across dungeons.
Yeah, there's like baseball bats, bolos, slingshots, and there's even like
everything's kind of baseball based.
Yeah, although at one point there's actually a little snowman you can collect that when you activate it, it freezes everything on screen, and it even works on bosses.
I do like that when even the most simple items do work on bosses, because there's a lot of games out there, most games, you get these items such as freeze all enemies on screen, but it doesn't work on the boss. It's like, oh, come on now.
Yeah, really. It's such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, all the Paper Mario games do shit like that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then why was I collecting these items just to use on normal enemies?
Yeah. Pain in the butt.
Because then you're afraid to use them. You're like, oh, that could be useful later. But anyways, you go fight the creatures of the land.
Yeah.
Two things that I found most irritating outside of the somewhat stiff control scheme was you have to talk to literally everyone in every village.
Yeah.
Sometimes in a specific order in order to progress.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And you wouldn't know what order you really need to do because 90% of the time, the people in the village say just the most useless things.
Yeah, for sure.
Then, moving around in the sub to go from point A to point B in multiple areas, such as things that are hidden on screen that you can't see.
Yeah, it's
such as going under a reef or going through a warp.
Yeah, that was kind of irritating.
I got so fed up with the submarine sections going from island to island that I just went straight. It hit me immediate rage where I'm just like I'm just gonna look at a walkthrough where to go.
Yeah,
because I'm not gonna spend 20 minutes trying to just go into every little nitpicky corner to find something.
Yeah. I had to do that at a couple points too. Although you have Rob the Robot as your navigator on the submarine.
He is there to be on your cryptic journey.
Yeah. I just thought that was kind of a fun little touch.
I was like, hey, there's Rob. What's he doing there?
Yeah.
Is he going to be an asshole in this game too? No, luckily he stays out of it.
Yeah.
Now, one good thing the game does is its life and checkpoint system, where it's infinite continues. But if you lose all your lives, at worst, you'll just be put back at the beginning of a dungeon.
Yeah, although you only have 3 hearts out of the whatever health upgrades you've gotten up to that point. Which I found a little bit tricky.
It made the game a little bit tougher than, say, the average game, I would say. But it wasn't unforgiving by any means.
Yeah, although once you get to level 3, the difficulty really ramps up. And then it only gets harder from there in like level 4. That's where I basically stopped. But
luckily, because of the continue system in place, you do learn enemy patterns more easier, and you do there is that sense of you getting better because you know the game better.
Yeah, for sure.
That is something, say, Bomberman just doesn't have because it's not that kind of game.
Yeah, this is more like a quest type of game.
Yeah, I didn't feel the difficulty spike was too bad, but you definitely felt whether it be dungeon enemies were stronger, projectiles would come out of nowhere more often, but it never felt unfair to me.
Yeah, it's beatable. It's just.
And this game was also not released in Japan.
Oh yeah.
And I can't, unlike Toe Jam and Earl, I don't know why this one wasn't.
Yeah, that kind of confuses me too.
I couldn't find any information on why Star Tropics of all things wasn't released in Japan, but it was released everywhere else.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because it seemed like a game that would take off over there.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of Zelda-ish. I mean we know they like baseball over there.
Yeah. It had all the things. There wasn't major cultural things that were doing it. I don't know. I couldn't find information on why the game wasn't released. But anyways, it was a fun game. I didn't get to beat it, but I did play past where you and I did it at the very least. I was more hopped up on playing Link's Awakening.
Nice.
I'd recommend it for an NES collector.
Yeah, me too.
It's very affordable.
Yeah, and enjoyable.
Now, speaking of frustrating, is my first pick.
Yes.
The Ooze on the Sega Genesis.
Oh, man. Oh, that game.
So, this was originally supposed to be a pack-in release with, I don't know if you remember what the Sega Nomad was.
Vaguely.
A giant portable Sega Genesis, essentially.
Sounds like the Game Gear.
Well, the Game Gear was kind of a dumbed-down version to compete with the Game Boy. The Nomad was supposed to be kind of what the Nintendo Switch is, where it was a portable console.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where you'd stick the whole cartridge in the back kind of thing. Came out in 1995, yeah. The Nomad was battery eating 101.
Yeah, now I remember.
So this was supposed to be a pack-in game for it. The story is, through a series of still screens on a CRT TV, an employee of a company sees his boss doing bad things. We don't know what the bad thing he's doing, but the boss catches him. And him and his cronies inject the employee with a kind of a green chemical. And what this chemical does is it dissolves his body into this ooze-like thing so they can flush him down the toilet. Well, fun fact, he doesn't die, and he basically becomes Swamp Thing.
Basically, yeah.
Except, instead of Swamp Thing being in nature, he's in this realm of a city that's
it's like
filled with nuclear waste and what have you.
Yeah, it's like a waste dump.
Yeah. So,
Fun
kind
fact.
of an allegory on the future where, it definitely screamed kind of this Captain Planet Swamp Thing type thing.
Yeah, kind of.
Where, fun fact?
Yeah. There's a small touch at the beginning of the game where the main character's, his file in like his company's directory is 00-Z. Get it? 00Z? Ooze?
Got it.
I'll show myself out now.
Oh, my funny bone has been tickled. So original. But yeah, this game is incredibly original.
Yeah,
much like the experience with Toe Jam and Earl earlier that we mentioned.
Yeah,
This game was very weird.
Very unique. Very creative.
So, you are this, we'll call it the Ooze.
Yeah.
Since that's the name of the game. And what's original about this is there's no health bar. Instead, the body of the Ooze that you control is the health bar.
Yeah.
The bigger it is, the more health he has.
Exactly.
Smaller, and then some. Now, there are a few attacks that you can use. There is a projectile that actually depletes your body.
Yeah.
/ your health.
And plus
then there's a streamline attack, which correlates to the amount of ooze that you currently have as your body. So, more health equals a bigger attack, or at least a longer attack. It doesn't actually get stronger, but you can attack a longer length.
Yeah.
Or you can just straight up weaken an enemy in various ways, and then you just eat them. They become part of you.
Yeah, and he actually burps.
You dissolve the bodies.
He burps every time you do that. And plus, when you're spitting, he sounds like he's hawking a loogie every time.
Oh yeah, the sound effects are fantastic in this game. Whether it be enemies screaming, like you said, the projectiles being
Yep. It's really funny.
To machinery going.
Yeah.
Very well done in that sense.
Yeah.
I even thought the level design was well thought out.
Yeah.
Be it various traps that would keep you from progressing in certain areas, or making you have your body a certain amount to go through such areas.
Yeah.
Because the ooze is a liquid.
Yeah.
So liquid can move in various ways, go around corners of least resistance, have trouble going uphill because of gravity.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of have a little bit of momentum going there. Very cool things.
And there's little drains that if you touch them, it depletes your health because his body's going down the drain.
Mm.
And then every time you die, you hear a toilet flush.
Yeah, going back to how the game originally started.
Yeah, and the game over screen's pretty funny too. It just shows the main character trapped inside a lava lamp with a freaked out expression, and then the villain is grinning evilly with his face in shadow and his eyes are glowing.
Yeah, there's a lot of good humor to it as well.
Yeah.
There are I put down 3 types of enemies. There's a harmless obstacle type enemy where they're just kind of in your way.
Uh-huh.
Then there's slow-moving enemies that you can easily hurt, but if they overtake you, they'll one-shot you.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's projectile enemies that will one-shot you for sure.
Absolutely.
And if your skull gets hit, because the skull is kind of your center point in the ooze.
Yeah, your nucleus.
So you base your movement off that. And if your skull gets hit, that's
die.
when you die immediately. That's the one shot. So you're kind of playing in sort of a side-scrolling shooter type sense, where you're paying attention to the skull, as you would your plane, as opposed to the bullets coming, so you can pay attention more. Now, if your body gets hit, you just lose that piece. So, as you said, if you move over a drain, you'll lose that part of the body from the drain.
Yeah, and there are some enemies with like lasers will end up slicing off part of your body.
Yeah, and then you can go back and collect the part that wasn't hit, directly hit. So a lot of cool original things. Now now you might be thinking, this all sounds like a great game, actually. Maybe for the first level.
Yeah, but in level 2 it gets balls hard.
Once you get to level 2, there's only 5 levels, but holy shit. Everything seemingly wants to one-shot you. You fall through traps constantly.
Yeah.
Or fall into traps constantly. You will experience a lot of death.
Yeah, there's like drainage.
And that's where the game is hindered.
Yeah. Drainage vents, these Roomba type things that basically utterly destroy you every time they go over. And those fucking gas sprayers. Oh, I hated those things.
The fire geysers.
Yeah,
that's what I called them.
Not just those. When you're in like they just like spray out like acid gas or whatever. They just utterly destroyed me every time I got close to them.
Yeah, I only got to level 4 until I rage quit. Yeah. As soon as I started focusing on protecting the skull as my main priority, then I was able to get past the next 2 levels, but level 4 that was beyond my understanding of cheap.
Yeah.
It essentially threw everything at you at once. So I can't imagine what level 5 is. I think that's when you finally get into the factory.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Where you first began, because the whole point is you're the ooze guy and you want revenge on the boss.
Yeah, and to possibly restore your body.
Well, I don't know how that's gonna happen.
Well,
everything's dissolved.
I just remember,
but maybe it's kind of an alien thing where it's just like, okay, now you can kill me.
I just know part of the game is collecting like DNA helixes. And if you collect all of them, then at the end of the game, you can see yourself get restored back to human form.
Yeah, I mean, the story I felt was very haphazardly put together, just for the shit of it.
Yeah, pretty much. I basically,
because I didn't find the power-ups or the items that you collected to be all that useful. Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, I rage quit on level 2, so I ended up watching the rest on YouTube. So that's how I know some of that stuff, but it's kind of funny when you go to certain bonus levels. There's like these secret bonus levels you can unlock, and then you end up going around killing a bunch of cute little bunnies in this one spot, but they're actually the kind of killer bunnies you'd see in something like Monty Python and the Holy Grail, because you get close to them, their heads grow really huge and their teeth get really pointy.
Yep.
It's like something out of Adventure Time.
I'm glad you mentioned the kind of the warp areas.
Yeah.
There's no indication to where or what area you can warp in, so seemingly any nook and cranny can be a warp point.
Yeah, and
you don't know how much ooze you need to do it, or how where the skull exactly needs to be to activate the warp. And those warp areas are mostly just frustrating, asinine areas. I hated them. Anytime I got to a warp place, I'm like, great, now I'm gonna be fucking stuck here forever, because they're so damn hard.
Oh shit. Yeah.
I did not like those. They that would have been better off just not in the game altogether.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much originality behind the game. It's a real shame that the difficulty spike is so bad.
Yeah, I just don't.
Because otherwise, I could see this game like really taking off, because it's so unique.
Yeah, I just do not have the time or patience after level 2 begins. It's a real shame.
Yeah.
Like you said, so much going on with it, but it's just way too punishingly hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to play for that like first level kind of experience of the originality, but I just can't recommend the game. It's too damn hard.
Way too hard. Unfortunate.
Yeah. Another strangely frustrating game is my last pick and the last game of our list. And that is Shadowrun on the Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Came out in 1994. It is a sequel to the first one. It came out on the Super Nintendo. It's based on a board game of same name.
Yeah.
This was made by Blue Sky Software, who also made the Vectorman games. If
you're
familiar with that.
Yeah.
And another game that was never released in Japan for whatever reason.
Yeah, weird.
Maybe is because it had too much to do with futuristic science, but I don't know. It came out around the same time as Snatcher, and that's what this game reminded me of because it's got this cyberpunk feel to it.
Yeah,
you're
been kind of wanting to try this ever since Extra Credits mentioned it in their games you might not have tried Cyberpunk Edition video. Because it looked really cool. It's like, feels like it would have a really engrossing story if I got that far, but they mentioned it's punishingly hard at first, and it really is.
Yeah, alright, well, starting at the beginning. You're in Seattle, and it's 2052, so super future. Totally not Cyberpunk, totally not The Matrix, and totally not The Silver Surfer.
Or Blade Runner.
Or Blade Runner. No, it was totally not any of those things. This is super original, I swear.
Yeah.
I did like the highly detailed sprites within the game.
Yeah.
And the
really
open world aspect of the setting.
Yeah.
Ranging from this super cyberpunk city to going into a computer module and going so Matrix into it to a wooded area. I thought it was well constructed. I thought the music was well constructed.
Yeah.
But the area, the sound effects were really bad.
Yeah. Really old school Genesis type deal.
It's like someone just would hit a button and just go
Yeah.
shoot an enemy. That's the extent of the sound effects in the game. They're just it would have been basically better non-existing.
Exactly.
It was so low key.
Yeah.
The game does a lot with its open world. Every bar tries to be unique in some way. Every area tries to be unique in some way. Of course, there's some repetition to those areas, but I wasn't too bothered by it. What I thought was really weird was anytime you would enter a bar, you would hear them say "shot in love."
Oh yeah, I don't really remember clearly.
Well, they say it really fast. I had to go in and out a couple times. Like, are they saying what I think they're saying? Oh my god, they're saying Shadowrun in German. Why?
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. I thought the combat at the beginning of the game was super weak because you're given this pea shooter of all things.
Yeah.
And you're just running around in circles going, bah, run around, bah, run around, bah.
Yeah, it's so hard to kill anything at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, and that says a lot about the game. The game is a heavy grind from start to finish. Be it the weapon you get at the beginning or all the RPG elements this game just tries to throw at you at once.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, it was kind of hard getting around. Like, I tended to get lost really easily, and plus...
Yes, I did as well.
You have to take a taxi between the different areas, which costs money.
Yeah. Yep. No, I found myself tediously grinding through one thing or another. I didn't finish the game because I just lost interest because it was so tedious. Whether it's the shit-ass menu system.
Yeah.
I can't...
It's a pain in the ass.
I can't get over how bad it was. It's a mess. You spend way too much time within it. Even when you're in the midst of combat, you have to go through that menu system to choose items individually or switch them or the weapons. And then the RPG system, as okay as it was, you just find yourself micromanaging through all this text and numbers.
Yeah, so tedious.
And I really don't like it when games force you to grind, be it, as you said, Colin, because you get lost easy, you have to spend money, well, you have to make money in certain ways, and the making money is okay, but you have to, in order to get to certain levels or do missions, you have to grind your levels.
Yeah, that's such a pain in the ass.
I mean, it's one thing if you're having a tough time with an enemy or a boss battle, and you're like, all right, I gotta grind a couple levels because I'm not good enough to beat it at my current level. This game doesn't do that. It basically forces your character to be at this level, otherwise you just can't beat him.
Yeah.
It's just a time extender. That's all it is. It's wasting my time.
Yeah. Which really sucks because I feel like there's a good story to be told. It's just bogged down by everything you said, all the micromanaging, all the grinding. So I feel like there's a lot more to the story.
You just don't really get to experience it all because you're constantly just distracted by other things.
Yeah, really.
The grindy elements are the grindy. What grinding entails, in theory, is okay because they do it through a thing called shadow runs, be it an escort mission, a job you get through a corporation that's in the town, or the computer runs that are called cyber runs, where you're totally not the Silver Surfer in the Matrix.
Yeah.
I did not like those at all because it was the same. It was so much repetition in those cyber runs. The good thing is that you can choose not to do those things. You can go through the whole game not doing a cyber run, for example.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So there's definitely a sense of individuality while playing. You can be a certain character, grind levels for that certain character, avoid things in the game that you don't like. But to me, that's just a negative. I want to actively avoid this part of a game. Okay, then why have it?
Yeah, really. Yeah, there's like 3 different classes of character you can choose at the very beginning. There's like one that focuses entirely on like melee weapons and guns, another that kind of balances between guns, melee weapons, and like hacking abilities, and then the third class you can use like magic powers and such, but that kind of cuts down your defense and gun offense power.
Yeah, the first balanced character was the only one I liked, because the other one with the hacking ability, if you get close to any enemy in this game,
yeah, you're fucked.
That's just asking for death.
Yeah, you're fucked.
And then the magician, if you get hit by a single enemy, your defense is so low, that's worthless. So it's essential to me. The game was telling you pretty much got to be this one character.
Yeah. Although you have the ability to hire on other shadow runners for a team. Like one guy you meet at a bar, he's like a shaman type deal, and he can use a lot of magic. So if you the team element kind of saves a lot of the action part of the game. Yeah, but still,
I don't know. I didn't really like Shadowrun. I was very disappointed.
Yeah, me too. And on a side note, the characters love to say the word chum, which was really, really weird.
Yeah, this was very cyberpunky, but I think it was missing a lot of the elements to tell that story. Because as you said, there was a story to be told, and it could have been good.
Yeah, but you're just
every time I did something in the game, it wasn't enjoyable.
Yeah, I hear you. It's just not.
Oh boy,
not much fun.
Yeah, and I love cyberpunk settings too. The Blade Runner type thing. I love Snatcher. It's one of my favorite 90s games now.
Oh yeah. Yes.
And that's what this environment reminded me of, but Snatcher was a good game.
Yeah.
Doing what it needs to do to be good. This was the total opposite.
Yeah.
We're going to put in this game felt like we're going to put in a bunch of shit that it doesn't need to be, and then just make it seem cool. Hey, all these RPG elements. Throw them all in a menu that you're going to spend, 10, 20 minutes in just trying to figure out what it all means.
Yeah, exactly.
On top of the fact that the menu system was garbage, on top of the fact that the action system for a long part of the game was also garbage and tedious.
For sure, yeah.
I might be shitting on the game too much, because I bet there's someone out there somewhere that loves the game. I just don't see it.
Yeah. I can't play longer than a couple of hours without getting tired out. Although when I first tried to play it, I had stomach flu at the time, so.
Are you saying this game caused you physical pain?
Maybe.
It's like, oh my god, I just all of a sudden got the stomach flu. How did this happen? Oh, maybe I gotta put Shadowrun down. Oh, weird, I feel better already. Oh, maybe I just need to play the ooze some more. Nope, that makes me feel bad too. My head hurts now. Oh no, this is worse. I think I've gotten this reputation on the podcast for picking weird games, and they're usually bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like my games that I pick, and whether it be Kevin or Josh or even you, Colin, I don't agree with why I like it, but these two were very disappointing. The ooze was okay for level 1.
Yeah. But
then everything else after that, no. Shadowrun, very much the same. Hey, what a cool area. Now I got all this stuff I gotta do in the area isn't great.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, we went through this pretty quick. Not a lot of news. But what was your favorite and least favorite game out of the 6 that we picked?
If we're talking about ones that aren't my own picks, I'd probably say Super Bomberman.
You can pick your own if you want.
But yeah, if I'm including my own picks, then Link's Awakening for sure.
And what was your least favorite?
Probably the ooze. Just
because it's too hard?
So punishingly hard, yeah. But
yeah.
Shadowrun is a very close second. Thanks,
oh boy.
dude.
Hey, well, they all can't be winners. I like picking games that people never heard of.
Yeah, that's
the whole point of the podcast. At least that's what I think.
Yeah,
playing games we've never played before. Luckily, before this, I think I'd only played Toe Jam and Earl and a little bit of Star Tropics before this one. But anyways,
yeah.
My least favorite should come as no surprise. It's Shadowrun.
Yeah.
I hated the game so much. It's one of the games I've liked. I've enjoyed the least on this podcast in a long time, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite is, with no question, Link's Awakening.
Awesome.
Like, it's not even close to anything else on the list. I thought it was going to be just a simple portable Zelda game. I usually don't like the portable Zelda games too much. I think they're all just okay at best. Link's Awakening knocked it out of the park. I could not believe how good this game is.
Awesome. Glad you enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, and I am definitely going to be beating the game.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I wish I kept track of how many hours I've played it, but I had to start over the game a couple times, just because I wasn't saving properly.
Oh yeah.
So I'd play it for like a couple hours, and then I'd run out of batteries. I'd go to save, not press the button correctly.
Oh no.
And then I'd replace the batteries. Oh look, all my progress is lost. But what makes a good game is you have no problem replaying it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was very happy.
So I guess it's unanimous then.
Yeah, this was a short and sweet podcast.
Yeah.
With you here, Colin. I hope to do more of these more often, more frequently, instead of once a month. That it seems to be what we've been doing. But hey, time is money, right?
Yeah. Although I want to make a small mention to another top-down game I played a few months ago. It's not really an action game, but it's called To the Moon.
Okay.
It's basically like it's an indie game that came out. It's got like the Final Fantasy VI graphics that Stardew Valley have.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a much different experience. It's basically like takes place in the not too distant future where some technology has been developed where people can enter the memories of other people and
cool.
And tweak them at a certain point to create a big ripple effect for them to do something else in their own mindscape. It's basically used to help dying old people fulfill one final wish or regret in their own minds, so they can die happy. And then in this particular one, this guy wants to go to the moon. So the scientists come to his place with the technology, and they basically plan to alter his memories in a way that he'll want to become an astronaut within his own mental timeline. And
I see.
Yeah. And I don't want to spoil too much more, but it's, if you want a really good emotional story, it's a must play. It's so amazing. I mean,
I'll have to look into it.
I teared up
between you and Drew recommending games for me to play. I mean, such as Axiom Verge comes to mind. I'm gonna have to check. I'm now gonna have to check this one out.
Absolutely,
you guys know me well.
Yeah, you can play it in like 4 or 5 hours too. It's short and sweet, but the ending I actually literally teared up at. It still sticks in my mind. It's so amazing. It's like the perfect bittersweet ending.
Okay.
Yeah. Now there's not a ton of gameplay involved.
I think other top-down action games. I wouldn't call it action too much, but the Harvest Moon series.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's generally kind of it's more of an isometric view or angled. It's not quite top-down, but that's what comes to mind. As you said, Stardew Valley is probably the hot shit these days of what people are playing top-down.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, I really like the aesthetic and look of top-down perspective games, very much so. The Don't Starve series comes to mind.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Binding of Isaac is very popular. So, these games do sell, and they're fairly simple to make. So, I would like to see a lot more indie games kind of put this perspective instead of always being kind of a 2D action side-scrolling platformer game.
Yeah, absolutely. And just quickly getting back to the Moon, there's actually a few like funny nerd references in there as well, because they'll occasionally mention like Animorphs, and one of the guys actually does like the DBZ Kamehameha thing. There's a few digs at Twilight. But last thing I want to say is, if there's any video game I would love to see made into like an anime movie or something, it would be this one with Makoto Shinkai directing. I would say Hayao Miyazaki, but his movies tend to not include a lot of modern technology, so, or even futuristic
right. It's always
stuff.
man versus nature kind of things. So yeah, Shinkai would
absolutely,
or even Hosoda.
Yeah, I was thinking of him too.
Yeah.
I feel like we could do a whole podcast on this if we weren't afraid of spoilers, but for now, To the Moon was made by Freebird Games, and directed by Canadian game designer Kan Gao. Yep. And there's...
So you and your Canadian games.
I didn't even know it was Canadian until just now, but there's actually a sequel coming out soon, or maybe it already did come out. I haven't played it yet, but this one in particular.
A game set in the same universe called A Bird Story was released.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's sort of a midquel, and then there was a new one that came out recently.
Finding Paradise, a direct sequel, was released in December of 2017.
Yep, that's the one. I still have yet to play it, but I'm looking forward to it.
I wonder what reviews that one got.
I think it got positive ones.
Not seeing too much on it, but I'm definitely going to have to check out To the Moon now.
Oh, for sure. You need to tell me about it when you do. It's so amazing.
I mean, it might be some time. I've got Monster Hunter on the mind.
Well, yeah, for sure. And within a couple of days, I'll probably be right there with you.
Alrighty. Yeah, Monster Hunter and playing the games for the next podcast, which I've wanted to do this for a while. Okay. And this is definitely going to be a theme that we'll come back to again at some point, but it's platformer games, not Mario or Sonic games. Just straight platformers. Just keep it simple.
Cool.
It's my favorite genre of game. I hope we get 6 good games to play.
All right, sounds good.
So this has been the Red Leaf Retrocast, top-down action games. You can find the podcast on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play Music, and many more. Hit me up on Twitter at BowlingJD. Hit me up for the Discord channel that I'm a part of.
Uh-huh.
And we got a slew of modern games, not just retro. Got a slew of retro anime that we talk about. So I hope everyone enjoyed the podcast and hope to get these out more often now. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for being here, Colin.
All right. Later, folks.